Previously on Homesteady. So today we are upgrading a little bit of our watering systems. Of all days for me not to wear my muck boots.
I know, why didn't you?
There's more exciting winter water solutions for you. Links below for all the gear, and we'll update you on how it performs in future videos. What do you think, Ladybug? Well, this is sad. This was our favorite rooster, Fluffyfoot, and he died yesterday because of, well, just a mistake we made. I gotta get rid of him. Wet, gross body. We'll talk about what happened. So you saw the other day we set up the livestock tank there for water, for winter water, and we were trying to get Ladybug more water than what she's had out of her smaller bucket, so we set the livestock watering tank up for her and we put it in her paddock over here. And you'll notice that Ladybug is in this paddock right now all by herself. There's Ladybug, she's completely fenced in, and no other livestock's in there. So we were not concerned about any animals getting in the livestock watering tank. No drownings. It wasn't even a thought that had crossed my mind. But yesterday, at some point, this gate was left open and Ladybug wound up walking through. And she actually went in, she was hanging out with Luna. In that time period, while that gate was open, Fluffyfoot must have walked into this paddock, maybe flown up to Rooster on it, or to get a drink or something. Must have slipped in and he drowned. This could have been avoided by a very simple solution. A lot of farmers use this trick. Just put a board in your stock tank. It allows any animal that falls into this stock tank, whether it's a chicken, a smaller livestock, maybe like rats and mice, which honestly sometimes getting rid of the rats and mice is a good thing, but in this instance we lost our favorite rooster to a drowning incident, which could have been prevented if we had just put this board. Again, there were no chickens in this paddock. We weren't even thinking like, we got to think about the chance of an animal drowning, but that's just a good reminder for us and any of you out there using these stock tanks why you should always throw a board in them and leave it out. We forgot, and because of a random kind of chaotic day where Ladybug's gate wound up open and she pushed it open and went through, and then Fluffyfoot came in here, something we wouldn't have imagined was going to happen did, and now our favorite rooster's dead. Not too long ago I took a whole bunch of chickens from our flock laying hens and roosters to get processed. And I was trying to decide what to do with Fluffyfoot. Fluffyfoot was our rooster back at Squash Hollow Farm in Connecticut. One year we ordered a bunch of chickens from McMurray Hatchery, and they send you a bonus chicken in the group, a unique chicken, and it was Fluffyfoot, our Cochin rooster. So we've had him since he was a little chick. He grew up, he was never the alpha rooster, never the #1 rooster in charge back at Squash Hollow. But when we moved here, we got rid of that rooster at Squash Hollow because he was getting mean. And when we moved here, Fluffyfoot became the top rooster. He was in charge. And he was always very nice. He never attacked any of us, never attacked the kids. Those of you who have a homestead know it's hard to get a rooster who's nice to people but still protective to the flock. And Fluffyfoot was the perfect balance of both. Plus, Fluffyfoot was my dad's favorite chicken. Dad always called him the French nobility rooster. And because he looked like he was wearing, you know, French nobility. We're gonna pull this one out. You get the back. You can lift it. You lift it from right there, or 2 hands if you need 2 hands. Good job, Muscle Man. That rooster right there, Fluffyfoot, we call him. He really should be going. He's a big consumer. I just can't do it. He's named Fluffyfoot. He's been there since our farm in Squash Hollow. He's a nice rooster, he's not mean. Pays to be a nice rooster. Right, Fluffyfoot? It's not always cut and dry, these things. That Fluffyfoot, my dad always liked him. He called him the French nobility chicken. So, Dad will pass that one for you. French nobility stays. No French Revolution today. The day we decided to have all those chickens butchered, I chose to let Fluffyfoot live. Not because it made sense. We have a bunch more roosters now in the flock here, and we could easily replace him with a younger rooster. But because, you know, he was my favorite rooster, my dad liked him, I decided, you know what, I just couldn't bring him to be butchered. And so we kept Fluffyfoot. That was just about a month ago. When you live on a homestead, you deal with death all the time, and I don't want to be overly dramatic about the loss of a rooster, but at the same time I was sad to find out that Fluffyfoot died this morning. That was a bummer. You try to balance when you're raising animals for meat, the ones that you're raising for meat, you try not to get too attached to. I find at times the way you compensate for that is the animals that you are keeping around that are not for meat, you get a little bit more attached to than maybe you should. Freak things happen in the farm, and animals wind up dying when you least expect it in the strangest ways, and you can't help but be a little bit sad when you come out and you find Fluffyfoot floating in your stock tank. Something that could have easily been prevented. So I figured we'd just make a video to help remind any of you, if you have a stock tank, if you're setting one up like we did, don't make the mistake I made and forget to put a board in there. Fluffyfoot, if he had fallen into it, could have got some footing on the board, a nice 2x4, or as I'm using a bigger piece here, using like a 3x4 now, something like that they can grab with their claws, climb up. He would have been able to climb up and out, and we never would have known he was even in here. Maybe he'd have been a bit cold, but he could have gone inside. And instead we found him floating. So let this be a lesson to anybody out there, and it's a lesson to me. I'm putting sticks in all our stock tanks here that are too deep for animals to touch the bottom and jump out of, and hopefully this will be the last unwanted, unplanned death this winter. A small side note here, the other day we made a video talking about the mud issues on the homestead, and I jokingly said we were getting rid of all the livestock to turn ourselves into an organic mud farm. It was just a joke, and I thought I was being like goofy enough in the video for everyone to realize I was not actually planning on getting rid of livestock. Of course I learned by looking at the comments section that I wasn't clear enough in my joke. We're not getting rid of our livestock to become a mud farm. I was just having a joke. Our livestock aren't going anywhere. Hopefully though, the mud problem is. Make sure to close the gate today. We do not need any more roosters. As it was, we had too many, and I really should have had butchered Fluffyfoot. back when I was taking everybody to the butcher, because, you know, roosters are heavy feeders. You only need one to breed your birds to, and we already have a couple, so we don't need any more roosters. Fluffyfoot was just one of those I couldn't bear to take to the butcher myself. That right there is Fluffyfoot's son, a younger generation rooster. My son let Fluffyfoot breed with a lot of his Aracanas, and they made Cochin Aracana crosses. So Fluffyfoot's genes live on, even when he does not. If you like our show, there's a really easy way you can support us in producing this show without spending a penny extra. If you're going to shop on Amazon, just click on this link right here to do so, or before you go to Amazon, type in homesteady.com. Every purchase you make supports our show without costing you a penny extra. We thank you so much for your help in producing Homesteady.